Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, and all the way in from the great state of Montana, snowy Montana, Jake Linville. Jake, how are you today?
I'm trying to stay warm. How are you, Michael?
Oh man, I'm telling you, I don't miss that at all. I do not. That's why I moved south. All right, so we're going to talk about mitigating business risks. So let's talk about what are some of the main risks that businesses face that they should be looking at to protect themselves from.
So, first and foremost, the risks that they need to, you know, make themselves aware of are, well, first and foremost, the failing. I mean, that's the ultimate. That's the one you don't want to encounter. But in order to avoid that, you can do a few things. First thing I would recommend is try and get 1 month's worth of cash on you, and then consistently going forward, try and have 3 to 6 months of cash on hand. And if you can't get that, work with your bank to get a pre-negotiated line of credit for when you absolutely need it last minute. I don't recommend borrowing money. I'm not one of those guys that thinks you can leverage debt and make it all fancy and make your numbers great. I mean, you can do that, but debt is only for when you absolutely need it and you have a plan for it. Um, Also, back to what we had talked about before, fractional controller work. When you really feel like things are getting out of control, you feel like you've got risks that you know, facing that you just don't know how to control for, hire a fractional controller. Um, and these next two pieces are really important. So have a formal documented requisition process before purchases are initiated. So, and have it in writing and make sure that all purchases are in writing. I know that may sound restrictive for us, entrepreneurs that like to just fly by the seat of our pants. But if you do that, it will keep you from having people just going out and willy-nilly buying stuff all the time. That will keep your expenses down. You'll be able to control them. And also, on a note from a previous show, um, make sure you have a formal documented customer vetting process. So when you have a customer come on board, this is different from customers that just walk in and want a haircut or just want to buy something off the shelf. But if you have a B2B business, make sure that you vet the business that you're going to do business with. Make sure that they have a good credit, and if they don't, make sure that they know where they're at. And I've been in situations where I've worked for companies that have almost no credit, so they end up having to prepay. Fine, prepay for a while, and then make have an arrangement beforehand. Say, okay, we'll prepay for like 6 months, and if we are good for 6 months, will you give us a little bit of credit?
Yeah.
So, and then lastly, industry specific challenges. I would recommend finding an experienced business coach in the industry, but this is the key, that's not retired. Unless that industry is really mature, like it's not changing at all. But I would 100% recommend hiring a business coach.
Well, being a business coach, I recommend that too. Uh, kind of one of the things, you mentioned one is, getting authorization for purchases. I think that's very important. And I've seen a lot of small businesses where they struggle is not having authorization for overtime. And overtime can really get a small business in trouble. I know it's a little bit off topic, but how do you coach your clients on the same thing? Let's have a formal process for overtime as well.
Yes, 100%. Make sure that you don't just have employees working overtime because work needs to be done. It's important to get the work done, but make sure that there's a process in place. Otherwise, you're going to start feeling like things are getting out of control, and then you're going to need to call me, and that's fine. I'm glad to help. But if you can control things from the get-go, you'll be a lot better off in the long run.
Yeah, I had a client that was making $250,000 a month, and we found out he was losing like 19,000, and it was all overtime issues that he wasn't aware of, and it just got out of control. And I know what's there. So let me ask you this: is there any ways to protect myself? Are there insurance products, or there things that I can look at that can help me, and prevent this financial risk that could be coming my way?
Sure, sure. You can always get an umbrella insurance policy, the slip and fall type insurance. You can get a liability insurance, depending on the industry that you're in. Like, for example, myself, as a CPA, I have to get errors and omissions insurance just in case I become human, which I am, and I make a mistake. So there are insurance companies that insure folks like me for that kind of stuff. Directors and officers insurance, which can be expensive, that would be something that I would look at as you're going from small to medium or medium to large. I wouldn't go gung ho and really think, oh, director and officer, that's great. The titles don't mean anything. It's and insurance companies charge a lot of money for those. And this next one is really important. So I've spoken with lawyers, and caveat here, I'm not an attorney, don't pretend to be one, but from an accounting perspective, my experience has been if you keep any specific or significant assets in a separate holding company, that will protect your assets. So let's say you've got a construction company and you have all of this construction equipment. Create a separate LLC or S corp or whatever your CPA thinks is best, and put those in there and protect those. Don't have those associated with the main business. That will definitely protect your assets. And lastly, if you're not at least an LLC, call me, call your CPA. I'll help you get one set up with the state and the IRS. And then, like I said, I'm not an attorney, so I can help you get set up with a top-notch lawyer in your industry and your area, so that they can help you with any of the formal legalities of whatever it is that you want to have done.
No, I think that's like spot on advice. My attorney, we sit around that all the time. That's what we just, we started a new company, and IP's held here, trademarks held here. We don't really have a lot of assets, that we're going to own, but we've done that with a lot of, one of my clients is a construction company. We had to move another company, started over, and now they bought the assets. And done all these things to make it right. So that's really important stuff. I love it, because we got to make sure that we got a smart numbers guy like you talking to a smart lawyer that really helps us. We're talking all about business management and business management risk today. That's the most important thing. So if people want to contact you, Jake, how do they do that?
You can find me on bookmycpa.com or on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all those fun things.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it, Jake. So we're coming into the. Oh, you want to? Okay, I'm getting some hand signals over the left. We're cool. So Jake, I really appreciate what's going on here. I really made you share there. My strength, your numbers. I love it, and I love what you're talking about today. It's risk, and we've got to mitigate it. We can't eliminate it, but mitigation, and that's where getting somebody that like you that understands. Here's where we can get hit as a business owner. Look at these things. Here's your options. Go select the best one for you, and then we'll make it work. So I really appreciate your expertise today, Jake.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And one last thing before we go. If you end up hitting the jackpot and get funded by like going public or some venture capitalist, don't go crazy hiring friends and family and giving them crazy titles. I've seen it. It's a waste of money and time and effort. Have a great week.
Yeah, no, that's some great advice there. Thanks a lot, man. Great way to end it on that positive note. This is Michael Ranger, your business guide here at Biz Talk TV, Now Media Television. We'll be back with more right after this.